Good morning, and what is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rapid Sparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and the Grappling Hour. How are you guys doing today? Yeah, your boy, Rapid Sparza, we're tired. Like, it is too early to be on these things and try to be funny, so navigate this with us, get through this with us, give us the like, the comment, the share, all of that good stuff. As you can see, even my camera's a little slow, to making the transitions here, because this is the full frame. This is the nice color, but then sometimes you put this there and it gets confused. It zooms and racks focus. That's not important to you guys. What is important is I am joined by my longtime friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Raph. How's it going? It's great to be here one more time. As you can see, I have frozen Kevin in the background to my left just so we can keep the search party going. We've away once again. I've been up since 3 a.m. your time. All I need is a bowl of pasta and some syrup. I'm just like Elf. If I get a full 45 minutes of sleep, I'm ready to bang. Let's go.
Okay. Well, hold on. This is going to have that is the stock photo of Kevin I took out, but I need to put that back in. Nope, not on you. On the other slot. Kevin overlay gag put back. So I don't know where he is. It is very confusing to find him at times. I do imagine, though, much like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, I feel like he's watching his own funeral, so we should probably just do another roast, is really what this is amounting to. Nonetheless, I will say this about your photo selection, Tim, and I'm going to come back here. I'll take off the lower third here in a second. The neck that Kevin seems to be suffering from here.
I told you the guy's neck is trying to shrink away from his face. It's literally trying to separate from the rest of his body.
It looks like he's trying to have more traps, and as a result, his head has just become discombobulated. He's trying to get Brock Lesnar neck here. And I have to say, I think the beautiful part of this photo you selected in the background, aside from it being awfully in the Wizard of Oz hueish of green, is that your head covers my head, which I'm actually okay with because I don't know how I look. Yeah, no, that's great. You need to be right in the center there. That is not a face we need to see from me. I just had an assumption if Kevin looked like that, how the fuck did I look? And I was right. Nonetheless, we do have a board to get to, and I do think it is important we get through these topics. And the first one is this. Let's go back to the top of the board, which tells us, this week, Tim, Anthony Gojani learned a valuable lesson. Are you aware of the lesson he learned this week?
Yeah, the lesson he learned is you have to watch what comes out of your mouth. And you have to be prepared. That's a lesson I'm still trying to learn, Anthony Gojani, so don't be too upset by it.
Now, some of you may be wondering, Raph, is the lesson he learned to stop talking so loudly? The answer is no. That is just going to happen. That's just his voice. I know. Some of you think to yourself, it's already loud, and he puts a microphone right up here and blows out the sound. I was like, good Lord, on a video, please turn that down. And he goes, you mean turn it up? And I go, okay. No, works differently in Albania. But the lesson Anthony Gojani worked this week is as follows. We've been doing these one-word name association videos, and we put out some before the draft and some after the draft. And Anthony Gojani just happened to do one about his teammates. Now, granted, he didn't know these people were teammates, but he referred to one of his teammates as gay. Now, here's the issue. He did that in jest for about 9 different people. He didn't have different answers. So he just kept saying gay, pussy,
all of them.
Gay. And then for a couple people who I think he's a little nervous about, he was like, oh, that guy's cool. The larger lesson was he didn't know at the time those people were going to be on his team, which how would you? But it made me somewhat confused because I was like, did he read how this works? He will be on a team at some point. So now he started walking it back. And when he started walking it back, he put the blame on us as if we selected the words for him. And he was
Oh
saying,
yeah.
hey, Lobo, don't listen to any of the fake news that these guys say. And it makes you think, one, are we still doing fake? I mean, sure, we put it out after, I guess, but it was not going to be a surprise that you were going to have a team. So I think this was a valuable lesson. And in the spirit of that, Tim, I wanted to ask you, is there any other advice you would like to give any of the children as they prepare for this very intense PGF season?
Yeah, my advice is this, and in my experience, you're always competing, even when you're not on the mats, even when the season hasn't started. The second you're added to that competitor group chat for the PGF season, you are competing. So everything you say and everything you do, as you and I both know, even if it's the most minor word that slips out of your mouth, you think this is nothing. Nobody would ever take umbrage with this. Listen, if you describe the jiu-jitsu world in one word, it's sensitive. So you have to be very, very careful about what you say and realize that someone's always looking at it, reading into it. Because of that, Anthony, use this to your advantage. Think about what you're going to say. Write some bullet points down, make some notes, game plan it. Maybe have one of the other guys pretend to be Raph. Maybe have one of the other, which would be great. Pretend to be me. Shave your head. Put a hat on. And then ask some goofy questions and see how you do. Make sure you're prepared. But you can really make use of the things that you do to get into people's heads, lay some traps, yank some chains. That's the whole point. That's my advice to Anthony. You gotta be smart about it.
You know, I'm glad that you signaled that to Anthony, but I was wondering, is there any other general advice that you think is for the group of them? Because I think Anthony, I think he learned his lesson. I don't know, maybe he didn't. Maybe he's still going to
I
be
doubt
like,
it.
you know what? Hey, you're gay. And then you're going to go, okay, great. Well, that joke's not
Yeah.
getting old. But for me, I'm wondering, now that he's got this team, there's a little bit of backpedaling going on. There's team unity that has to happen. Is there any advice for the collective? Because you signaled that mostly to him.
Mostly to him. For the collective, I would say this. Here's the deal. When the teams aren't set, boy, it's dangerous because you don't know who you're going to get lumped. You might end up rooming with somebody you were talking shit about. Once the teams are set, then you got to get in with your guys and determine which guy or group of guys on the other teams are we going to go in on? Who are we going to needle? Who are we going to provoke? And then who on these other teams is an ally of mine? Because there's teams within the set of teams, and they might not all be under the same coach. So there's guys that, hey, this guy's my boy. This guy's my boy over here. To further yourself in the game. To fight a lot of dudes, you're going to fight all of them. I think it's like 50. There's a lot of guys to fight. So any advantage you can get, you should take. So don't just focus on yourself. Use your team to go after those guys, and then use your alliances with guys on other teams to further go after guys maybe on your team. I don't know. This is a mind game. It's part competition, part reality show.
Well, Tim, I'm glad you put it like that because there's a lot to learn, but we're going to move on now to our next topic. The second point on the board we have this week is that of Canuto, who was also a fan favorite last week because last week we went through the many different faces of Canuto, but this week we want to give some credit to him because one of our coaches is going to be holding the banner for the PGF at UFC BJJ Dose, where he will be taking on the champ, Andrew Tackett. I thought, A, great match. B, did you have any predictions on how this could go? Because that is a very fun match on paper.
Man, it's really interesting too. When I saw Hanato come out after Andrew had won and they kind of talked and all that jazz, it's like, as a pro wrestling fan, this you're really breaking canon. You cannot have your guy show up on another promotion. That just doesn't exist in pro wrestling. It does exist in jiu-jitsu. It's got weird implications though, because if Canuto comes in and he beats Tackett, then does that mean we're not going to see Canuto anywhere else except UFC BJJ? Like, that's really what I'm mostly concerned about. I think it's a good match. I think Tackett's probably going to have the advantage, man. And I love Hanato Canuto, but Tackett's on a run. He's young. He's getting better all the time. Not that Canuto's not, but Tackett's coming up pretty strong. So I thought that was an interesting move. I'm just curious what the implications are actually going to be if Canuto comes out and wins that fight.
So let me just bring up what my perspective was when I saw Canuto walk out. See, you went a different angle on pro wrestling, which is they can't be in the same place, same time. I don't know if you've seen this now, but it's not how we grew up. It's not like Rick Rude shows up on 2 shows in one day and you go, how do you do that?
Right.
Now, it's sort of like the late night wars of current era. See, when you were booked on either Leno or Letterman, there was a very bad booking war. You couldn't be on one or the other. You had to choose. And sometimes you'd be blocked for a month. Now, it's like the current late night landscape where you're like, oh, do Kimmel today, do Fallon tomorrow, do Colbert next week. You're fine. It's no big deal. Like, they're all fun. They're all doing a bit together. All the networks go, you top tier talent like that, Canuto will get those exceptions to cross the lines, blur the lines, and even though you saw it as, whoa, what are you doing here? You can't be here. I saw it as the opposite because the timing of it was terrible. Here's why. I saw it from the other pro wrestling lens where Tackett wins, is celebrating, and then Canuto goes to greet him. And you're thinking, wait, you just beat his friend. You just beat Canuto's friend, one Andy Varela, and you're walking out to be like, yay, yay. And you're thinking like, is that a heel turn? And it made me laugh so hard because I wasn't even thinking about, oh, they're going to do a match against them next. It just looked logically like he was coming to be like, hey, yeah, he's my friend, but he's against me in the PGF. So you did it. Congratulations. So that's how I took it initially. And then they book them together because there's no form to any of this. They just literally have him go run out and greet him like he's at an airport. And then they said like, oh, and by the way, you guys are going to fight each other next. I think we'll see. It could happen. And then they make that match happen. So it's a very strange presentation all the way through. But I have to say this. Might be the underdog here. He is rarely in matches that he doesn't outperform. So that, I think, between him and Tackett is another recipe for being something incredible. So I'm very excited for this. And Nick Saff, thank you for this. Tackett just announced he has a contract signed for UFC BJJ 2, and it's against someone who subbed him previously. Well, thank you for that. I'm not sure. I don't know who that person is. Any guesses here quickly, Tim?
Who subbed Andrew Tackett? I don't know who subbed him off the top of my head.
Let's do this. UFC, I'll give you a preview here in a second. It's BJJ Heroes and Tackett. Let's see. While we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and move ahead to the next one. But we did get a couple comments here. I'll go ahead and say hello. And it says, yo, what's this XP thing? Don't ask me like I know. I have no idea what any of this means. Isaac. You know that. And you said Tim is in a spaceship. Well, now it looks like Tim's what, in Mardi Gras or on New Year's Eve?
Downtown
Where?
Nashville.
No, Jesus. Okay.
I'm fixing it. I just didn't like what was there. I apologize. I know I kind of just did this. I am sorry. I hope you will forgive me for it.
It's fine. It just got me confused because it made me think, are you at the end of Ghostbusters 2? And that's what's happening here. Very confusing.
Yeah. Ghostbusters 2.
Hey,
one of the great sequels.
Underrated. I like that everybody from the cast shat on that movie. And they're like, it's not that good. I go, compared to what we got now, it's great. That might as well be a Citizen Kane to us. We're just fine. So
yeah.
I'm going to tell you one thing while I work on another. But here's the challenge I'm posing to us right now, Tim. The challenge that we have here on the show is right in the second, I want you to pick somebody on social and give me an update about what is going on with them. So one of our athletes, pick them and give us a quick update. And while you're prepping that, I'll give you a few seconds. I'll give you till 2 at the 2-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and go through the BJJ heroes for for William Tackett. And we're going to try and very quickly figure out who submitted him most recently. So this is dating back to 2019. Jalrocha beat him in 2024 at CJI. That was on a referee's decision. Elder Cruz beat him on a decision. Francisco Lowe, decision. Suzinci at an ADCC submitted him back in 2022. Cade Rotolo subbed him, although they said the Rotolos will not be leaving. Jacob Couch beat him by a referee's decision. I don't think he's going to get Leandro Lowe. Just saying.
No.
Lucas Barbosa, referee. Victor Hugo, points. Tex Johnson, he beat. Never mind. This is very interesting to see who it is. I mean, Tex Johnson beat him in an overtime for EBI as well. Yeah, that's a lot of people to go through. So, I'd be interested to see who it's actually going to pull off. All right, Tim, I'm going to look for your update right now. What athlete can you give us an update based on their socials?
So I checked out CJ Murdoch, and interesting cat here. CJ Murdoch, if you look at his recent socials, he's doing a lot of gi training. He also has a picture of one of these like I don't know what these characters are, man. They're like some anime characters on his Instagram, which is kind of fascinating how much these guys like to play with toys. And then he's got, this is the thing about CJ Murdoch you need to understand. This guy must love Coca-Cola because he has several pictures on his recent social media of him drinking Coca-Colas, like a lot of them, more than one. I don't know if this is his rehydration drink of choice. We need to get this guy some salt. But he's got one of a Coca-Cola bottle that he has downed. It's basically Coca-Cola and Pokemon. Kind of just describes the modern day jiu-jitsu athlete at this point.
This is a terrible segment. All right, let's come back to this. Let me give you the update that I have, which is it looked like we had some new fresh ink from one of our people. And I guess you're wondering who would do this. So, Tim, I'm going to put this up here in a second, and I want you to guess who would possibly get a tattoo like this. So of our current people, who would get a tattoo on their wrist of this?
That definitely somebody that cannot afford high quality artwork.
Oh no.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know you guys are I'm messing around. Relax. It's a joke. I'm trying to bring levity to the situation. it look, I'm trying to determine what character that is. If I had to guess whose tattoo this was, I would probably say, I'd like to say Anthony, but I don't think it's Anthony's. I actually think this might be, it's not Jet. Jet's too young to have so many tattoos. Uh, let me see.
Hold on, Isaac, you don't
just
get to answer. No.
Let me just look at the names here. I'm gonna go with. It's not Bowers. It could be Bowers. I don't think it's Bowers. I'm gonna say maybe Rafael Ferreira.
So hold on. The best part of this is Tim's old. Does he even know it's Pokemon? So, children, I think the sad part here is him being old only helps him in this case, because it's not that the
Yeah.
new children discovered Pokemon. It didn't just happen. These things have been around for almost 30 years now. So all of you guys being like, he's old, it just meant he learned it and forgot it. You're locking in with Raphael.
Yes, I'm locking in with Rafael.
That answer is incorrect. That was actually JJ Bowers. JJ Bowers recently got a tattoo. And here's what I want to say about this. I feel like the funny part to me about this, because he takes his Pokemon very seriously. He brought famously a Pokemon card. That's why I thought you might get that one. But the Pokemon card that he did bring was so beloved and intense. The reason why I thought this is hilarious, Tim, is that this is right on the wrist, which means somebody is either going to see that cross-faced on their face before getting transitioned from a referee's position, or that's the last thing you see before you get rear naked choked. Like, that is dangerous liaisons right there. Like, that to me makes me think this is hilarious that this kid went to go get this out. But that's how much he loves the Pokemon. It is now firmly on his wrist. So that kid's never getting a job application where he can wear a short arm shirt. Otherwise, he has to wear that and they go, is that a, as Titus Harris says, a Squirtle? And you'd have to say, of course it is, sir. I play the Pokemon Go. And they go, great, as in, go away. You aren't getting this job. So I guess what I'm saying to some of you guys here, and yes, Tim, your age is showing. I didn't mean for this to be a segment that was going to show off our lack of knowledge of things.
Yeah, that's okay with me. Look, where I come from, a Squirtle means something different. But if you want to get that put on your arm, get it put on your arm. I would say you have a good candidate for tattoo removal in about 15 years.
I like that. That'll be a weird trip during the choke nap. Yeah, I recently saw a competitor just say, like, I tapped this one time, and that's the last time I tap. Now I go out on my shield. And I was like, you know what, dude? Just tap, man. Like,
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to
Pokemon,
our next topic.
Okay.
All right. The next thing that we have an update on, and we're going to bring you more updates as the season progresses, is housing. Yesterday, Mike John actually set sail for his way on over to Vegas, which begs the question, who all is actually going to be living in Las Vegas? And Tim, I can tell you this after doing a couple more interviews, it looks like some of the people you thought were not going to live in Vegas are actually going to make the trek out there for the 5 weeks. Come here, we will start trying to put a board, like a tack board. People who lived in California and in Texas who were initially saying, oh, I'm not going to live out there. I'll just fly back in or drive back in. No, I think they will be going there. So what strategic advantage, or what do you think the coaches said to change some of these people's minds, Tim?
I wonder if the coaches actually leaned on these guys and said, like, you need to do this, or if it was more of like an unspoken peer pressure So if you're an athlete and you're on a team of 5 guys and a few alternates, and 6 of those guys are staying in Vegas, and you're the lone wolf who's going back and forth, unless you have like a real important reason for it, I could see you kind of just deciding on your own, like, I need to be out here with the team. I definitely think it's going to be an advantage for sure. I think going back and forth is going to be pretty rough. All the coaches are Vegas based. We heard, and I believe it was Drysdale who told his athletes, like, look, if you need to figure out where you're going to stay and what you're going to do, like, let us know. We could try to sort this out. So it doesn't surprise me. You might even see guys make that move, a couple weeks into the season, and then just decide, like, this is too much, to be going back and forth. I need to stay out here and be with the boys and be with the team and prepare. So it's hard to do, to stretch it out like this, but I think it might yield some interesting, unexpected results that we're just not thinking about right now.
I know they're thinking about team harmony, but I'm actually thinking the opposite. Structure was, if you didn't like somebody, you just lived with them for a week. 5
Right.
weeks. You will see how friendships exist. Because a lot of the times, these teams are buddy-buddy until maybe at the end they're not. And we've seen that happen. No specific seasons to name. But if you think about it, we went from all the teams being super friendly to now they actually live in a house together for 5 weeks, which is enough to become roommates and actually have stories to say about things. So are we going to find that some of these guys are harboring bad feelings because somebody left the toilet seat down? Are we going to find bad feelings about someone eating someone else's cereal, taking somebody else's protein powder, taking someone else's steroids? I don't know. We don't test. But I guess what I'm saying to you, Tim, is all of these things that we have taken for granted for harmony and peace and love, is that set to be disrupted with this incredibly long trek between young dudes of various mixed ages and experiences?
I could see JJ Bowers getting pissed off right now because one of his teammates took his Pokemon bathtub to play when he was taking a bath. He's like, let me take the Pokemon toys in. It's like, nobody touches my toys. I definitely could see these guys starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit, especially the veterans. Because if you're like 30 years old, anything north of 30 and you're living with like an 18-year-old, that's basically like you're living with your kid almost. And, it just changes a little bit. The dynamics could definitely change. We'll see which coaches can keep it together. And just as, like, I was thinking, you might see guys like go, well, I was going to go back and forth, but after a few weeks, this is too much. I'm just going to stay in Vegas. Maybe you'll see guys go like, I was going to stay here, but I fucking hate this guy that I stay with, so I'm going to stay somewhere else now.
Nobody is
that would be
bringing up
interesting
that,
too.
Tim. That's a very good point. Somebody's going to elect real quick, like, you know what? This was fun, but deuces, I'm out. I do wonder, though, one of my favorite things about the UFC BJJ show, and it's such a reality television producer trick that they did, was this time they got a cheaper version, like a Timo version of the Ultimate Fighter house, the mansion that they used to have. They got like an Airbnb and said, like, all right, here's $20. You guys just hang out here, which is fine. Okay. Save some money. I understand they're spending 8 to 12 million. Can't see it yet. But when they went back and they had like a hang with the coaches, Mikey lives out there. So they all went to Mikey's house. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For Harrison's episode, they all just went back to the Airbnb, but they had Harrison greeting everybody as they were walking in, like,
as the host of the house.
Okay, good to see you. Okay, thank you. Good. Hey, what's up, guys? Well, hey, what's up? To each individual person, and I thought, what? That'd be like me getting an Airbnb and greeting you on my way inside of the Airbnb, like, oh, Tim, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to my house. Raph, we're splitting this Airbnb. I know. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Tim. Love you. Like,
well,
it made me
the
laugh.
Airbnb we stayed at for the draft, we actually did stay with an actual family who lived in the Airbnb, and we kind of did have to say hi when we went in and out.
The best part was the dirty looks that I couldn't decipher if they liked us or didn't like us. Because it's one thing to say, like, hey, we're here, you're here. But then you try to acknowledge the weirdness of it by like doing the head nod of like, and there was this Asian lady who just did this back to us.
Yeah, just make sure the money comes through.
I don't even want to get involved in this. They left meat out overnight for it to defreeze, if you would. Like, there was a lot of stuff that I just said, hey, I just need to sleep and get up and do this. So our thanks to those wonderful families. That's so funny. Okay, let's go to our next topic right now. I just love this. The reason why I think we have to bring this up is part of the reason why this is such a big thing is the PGF is not necessarily supplementing the housing for anything. So what happens is you get these guys who really are paying out of their own pocket to commitment that I think not only is it unheard of for jiu-jitsu in this way, but it is a big social experiment. So as you're watching the documentary, you're going to see people really get tested in that way. And I do appreciate this. Tim and Raph have Bert and Ernie vibes. I don't know what else to tell you other than perhaps you have gotten too high, Isaac. Like, there are other people you can potentially name us as, but I think the weed is so strong, it went to your PBS core memories. Nonetheless,
I like the ones that are locked in there from childhood.
And the thing is, he's just like, Bert and Ernie, man. That's who they remind me of. Well, anybody else? You got anything else in there? In 20 minutes, it'll be Chandler and Joey. 30 minutes, it'll be Sam and Diane from Cheers. I don't know, man. It's just these kids trying to ruin this show. Let's move on to the next topic. Tim, this is something I thought you would excel at. And the topic for this is an untrue rumor you want to start. Now, listen. We've already talked about how the harmony could be disrupted. I figure, why not jumpstart it? Anthony Gojani has accused us of being fake news. So I thought, why don't we get ahead of that and just start spreading some rumors that are untrue right now? I will go ahead and put some time on the clock and give you the opportunity to spread a rumor that is completely untrue, Tim.
Wow. What a great idea. I love this idea, Raph, of just making up something and unashamed, just putting it out there and not even trying to hide it. So here's the rumor, may or may not be true. And the reason why I say that is I often say things that are not true, that I know are not true, that I say are true. And then I say things that are untrue. I tell you this is not true, but I know it is true. So I already do this every show, but it's really one of my favorite things about having a microphone in front of me. So the rumor that I've heard going around is that there is a competitor in one of the houses who has been working on a special submission technique. A choke is what I've heard. It's not a joint lock. It's a choke that has never been used, at least publicly, but apparently is highly effective. This person's super secretive about it. And they're saying that they're going to unleash this at PGF season 8. And so my thing is like, who is the guy? Because I'm not sure which. I have some ideas, but who is the guy? And then what exactly is that sub? This is what I have heard. So I'm on the lookout for this new submission. My experience tells me that when somebody says they have a new submission that they invented or something like that, and then they do it and they give it a name, that a dozen other dudes come out and they go, yeah, I was doing that 10 years ago. I did that 8 years ago. You stole that from me. We call it the Excalibur. We call it the this. We call it the that. So that's the rumor that I have heard going. Who knows if that's true? I'm not positive, but I'm looking for it.
No, man, that's not the Excalibur. That's the Lazy Susan. We came up with that one. I know that. Like,
yeah, that's the Squirtle.
It's you know what? Leave it to JJ Bowers to 100% be that kid who, if he does come up with the submission, it will be Pokemon based. So there is that. So my kind of true, kind of false rumor is gonna be based in reality. Like I feel most good rumors should be. So let's start with the reality, and then let's pose what could have happened here, Tim. So the reality is starting with this photo. And before I give my take on it, I would just love to get, Tim, what do you think is happening here?
You know, I saw this photo and my heart hurt because I don't know what it is about the shirtless bow tie with the priest collar kind of thing attached up at the top. The priest collar. That's bad enough. But then when you put his name just slipped out of my head. I can't believe it.
Chucky Olive.
When you put Charles Oliveira in the picture, kind of looking back, like doing that kind of look that girls do when they're trying to look at their back in the mirror and they're like doing that. He's kind of like giving that back look, right? And the look on Jordan's face, it's just, dude, this could go so many places. I'm so glad you did this.
Okay. Fuck, I got rid of that thing. Let's bring the board back here in a second. Tim, here's what happened to me on this. We were sent this information. So I didn't know exactly the context for it. It just had it sent to us. And when that happened, you know, obviously, you know, Jordan has a job that he does, so that makes sense there. The weird part is the connection between Charles Oliveira and him, and then the selfie, and then thinking, you know, the last time I saw Charles Oliveira, he got knocked out, and I didn't love seeing that.
Right.
So now getting to the part where we need to pose maybe the untrue part, maybe Charles was a little sad. His buddies as a gag did a pick-me-up that's like, somebody needs a lap dance. And then they showed up and they didn't know it was going to be this really good grappler in Jordan Worth. And they're like, wait, oh my God, you're a jiu-jitsu legend. And poor Charles Oliveira is like, yes, I know. my fame eludes me. Ugh, I can't even get a lap dance in a joking gesture. So I think they had a comedic moment. And I had to figure out this, which is, at what point, if you're Jordan, do you say, I also jiu-jitsu? And then if you're Charles Oliveira, do you understand what he's saying? Do you maybe not speak English as well to the point where you're like having a conversation? Do you shut it down and just go like, yeah, let's take a photo real quick? Or did they converse all the way through? I'm willing to bet this. I think Charles Oliveira and Jordan Worth talked crypto trading secrets. I think that's what happened here, because looking at this photo continuously, trying to find Charles Oliveira is relaxed. He's ready to give you some financial. Can't tell, but is that a star on his shoulder as well? It's just the gift that keeps giving. It gets funnier every time I see it, because I think the look on Jordan's face is just as surprised as the rest of us. So nonetheless, that'll be a good recurring thing to go to. I want to come through this way, and I wanted to bring this up to everybody here. So next week, I believe, Tim, we will be doing our version of a draft. Now, in years past, we have done the draft in front of the actual draft. This time we said, no. Let's wait and see what magic unfolds. And I wonder if that will have any effects. But the question I wanted to start by saying is, who should we have? Now, granted, this is assuming Kevin shows up. So I was wondering what one person we might have to add. I might have to add 2 people here. So, you know what it is? I figured it out. Tim, it makes sense now to me, but it didn't make sense before. Kevin isn't here because he didn't win outright last year. I am a 2-time fantasy champion, and he can't be in the same room because he didn't beat me. This makes so much more sense now that Kevin is afraid to lose again because he's very competitive. He doesn't let a lot of people know this, but he's that afraid he won't win again. Damn. I didn't think it was that deep, but it is what it is. So I pose the question to you, Tim. Who do you think we should bring on as the potential 3rd or 4th member in the draft this year?
You know, that's a good question. I'd like to get somebody in that is a veteran. I'd like to get somebody in who has, you know, a little bit of an understanding of these guys, but basically is just going to look at them and then make a decision. Kind of like the way Jean-Jacques just looked at Jet Thompson and said, I like this kid. I'm going to get him. It's just like, it wasn't anything he did research on. He just absorbed his aura and he's like, yeah, this is the one. I'd like to get an OG guy like that can just look at a man and know you're worth $1,200 or
happening, Tim.
You're worth $2,300
right now. That got real bad real quick. I want a guy who can look at a man and say, you're worth this much money, boy. Like, it got slightly nerve-wracking in this sense. I have a friend here. I think they would like some information, so I will send them something. I just feel like this. When you say you want an old man on this show, is this just you trying to get around the fact that you don't want to be the oldest person on the show?
Perhaps. No, okay. I just want to get somebody that knows less than I do.
That's what I thought. I was trying to hear you say it, and you just didn't say it. And it made me laugh so hard. But I would tell you this. I like the fact that you didn't necessarily do serves me right. You did beat.
I did. There was a big draft. Some gangster moves at the end, and then everybody got mad at me. And I don't think I got what I wanted. If I remember correctly, I probably was trying to cheat my way through it. But I do think I beat Egg. And for me, look, I love Egg. I think Egg is a super sweetheart of an individual. But I really like beating Egg in the draft. Like, I really feel good about it. And I know that he doesn't like it. I know that it bothers him. So it did feel good to score higher than Egg. I expect to beat Egg again this year. I just think I can.
The difference is I don't know. I haven't figured this part out because we're looking for a 4th. And I figured we'd put it out to the audience here to see if they had an idea. But the other thing is, okay, if we're looking for a 4th, you would assume it would just be Egg, but he's already got another draft. And I don't know that he can take not winning that many times. So there was the possibility of bringing him back. I'm not saying it can't happen. But now I'm intrigued to know, did Egg actually come in 3rd? Where did he fall? I don't know exactly. And it says...
I think it was 3rd.
I can't tell if it was 3rd or 4th. I don't remember if he beat you or you beat him or not. I don't know. I don't look down past 1st place. But when I do have this comment here, and it says, Egg shows up with receipts, Tim. That's true. But I also like the idea if Egg ever takes a return back to Amazon and he goes back, that he brings a whole freaking grocery bag full of receipts that just goes, hey, hey. Now I see a note here. I see a raised hand from Isaac. Now I can't tell what I feel about this because Isaac is part of the production as well. And I'll consider it. I could be persuaded. I just know this. You tried to make fun of us and call us old. And now you're like, hey, can you fit me into the draft? But I can tell you one
No,
person who we can fit in right now, and it would be our beloved Kamish, who is joining us. And I'll go ahead and put him in our slot. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show one, Brandon McCaffrey, who has his back turned to us. Brandon, why do you have your back turned to us, sir? Oh, it's an evil commissioner. I see what's happening now. Welcome to the show, Brandon McCaffrey. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, my loves. How's
What's
everything
up?
going today?
It's you know what, we're
it's going
having some
well.
issues because we are trying to figure out who we should have on the draft. That's when you said to send the link and the location, and it makes me think you have some sort of idea or you have some sort of comment on that. So what is happening in your world that merited this wonderful guest appearance, sir?
Well, it wasn't anything about that. I just saw that you guys were live, and I was like,
Mm-mm.
"Oh, it's almost PGF time."
It
So
is, sir.
let's jump on here, and maybe there's things I can say or things I can help with, or I just want to hold on. I feel like I'm all like
You're a little off centered. I can't really
censored.
center you back, but you just moved. Yeah. No.
Wait, wrong way.
Yes.
It's all here.
Yes.
Up.
Yes.
How's
Okay.
You
that?
did
Are
it.
we happy now?
Yes. Tim,
Okay.
the commish screwed up right now. And he said there's things that he can tell us and cannot tell us, which is the immediate interviewer like tell. We have to ask him questions. So, Tim, you get first crack. What question should we ask a commissioner that's almost inviting us to ask him questions right now?
First of all, I'm totally inviting you to ask me questions. Second of all, I have a question before we do this. Is Kevin alive?
That's a great question. Do you know the text that I got from him?
I mean, when would you have gotten a text from him? He's dead.
I got a text, hold on, today at 8.
He hasn't been on this show in months.
Well, he was here for the roast. We did get that.
But
But the
yeah, because
real
it was
joke of
the,
the
show, the
roast
whole
was
show was about him, so of course he showed up.
that is 100% true. The one thing I got was setting up 806, 8:15, my B on a call. So we have not seen him since. But I would
And that
just
was
assume
6 weeks ago that you got that.
no, this was today. This was an interesting one. So this is a little revealing behind the show. So he got pulled away when he says my B. He didn't even have time to say my bad. Having said that, I do believe he is alive, or ChatGPT is pretending to be him and is very accurate.
I think it's got to be something closer to the latter.
Probably. Tim, what questions do you have for the commish?
I want to know about the bonuses. What's going on with bonuses? I heard rumors of cash bags and money rooms and bank vaults and briefcases, but what is the actual lowdown on this?
Money bags is the truth. There will literally be money bags with $500 cash stuffed inside them. Each of the team, not the team owners, the PGF owners, myself, Keelan, Zoe, Heather Grace Gracie, will have an allotment of money bags to throw at the athletes at our discretion to reward the behavior that we deem entertaining and valuable. So like maybe I like a good promo at the end of the match, and I'm going to bonus you for having a great promo. bonus you for a judo throw. Heather, I
Can I
think she just loves
go ahead? Sorry.
violence, or I'm not actually not sure what Heather likes, or Gucci bags and violence. He's just going to throw a money bag for anybody that relieves him of any sort of labor that he's been incurring.
Can I ask a favor? Because I feel like this would be the move. Look, Raph just chided me for saying I need somebody who can look at a man and tell me how much he's worth. Now we're literally throwing money at the feet of these people.
Yeah.
This is borderline strip club behavior. Like, can you, instead of throwing a bag, just start making it rain on them as they're like doing the thing?
Tim,
you just come out
we're
and
on
you
the
just
same level here. Can we pitch maybe a way we present it? And you can tell me no,
Yes.
but like, is this a possibility in the delivery of it? Because listen, man, great guest appearance opportunities, surprise factor. I'm just saying it could loan itself into being very useful for our purposes here. I see a shrug. There's not a yes or a no. I'll take it.
You know, I have no problem with this. Maybe we just leave that to the individual bag tosser.
We'll work on a name for that because I don't love bag tosser.
Actually, I heard you do love bag tossing.
Thank you very much for that, BMAC.
Question. That's called cornhole.
Thank you. Everybody calls it a different thing in different regions. So like, we just toss bags. Do you? More like salads. I would say, though, BMAC, for this, we have all of these people living there. Do we know how many people are living in Vegas? Do we have a count of it yet? Do we have a feel of it?
Yeah.
Because we're going to start trying to track how many people are actually living out there.
It's pretty much the entire roster. Pretty much. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that's not going to be.
And that's an adjustment, right? Because we thought there were going to be some people who were kind of like going back and forth, right?
That was their plan. That was the plan for several of these people. But as it gets closer and closer and they realize the gravity of the situation more and more, well, like JJ Bowers, for example, he's like, you know what? I thought I would just make the drive every time. He lives in Arizona. He's like, that's a doable drive. And he's right. That is a doable drive once a week. That's not crazy. But he was like, I just think I'll be able to do better work if I just nut up and find a spot. And so that's what he did.
I mean, that's commitment. And it does bode those pleads that are like, hey, I can actually help you this season. Like, we're talking 5 weeks. 1 week, it's hard to really make that influence, but 5 weeks, impossible. I feel like I can make that.
Impossible almost. Yeah, it's almost impossible. So I feel like this format really makes a much bigger part of the victory or the loss, depending on how well they do with it.
Do the coaches get in on any of that bonus money or any of the winnings at all?
No, I just want it to go to the athletes, strictly to the people who are putting their bodies on the line. Otherwise, I'd be bonusing myself because your boy's still looking for a paycheck out of the PGF. You know what I mean? I'm still looking for it, dog.
What has surprised you the most in the time since the PGF draft? We obviously saw you speaking at the end of the show and telling us your thoughts, but what has surprised you in the time since? We've basically been about a week and change away from it. Has anything caught your attention outside of that PGF draft now?
I would say I'm surprised that there's not more trash talk and confrontation. Obviously, we've got, I don't know if it's obvious or not because I'm in the group chat. So maybe the viewers don't understand how obvious it is, but the group chat, Go Johnny and Armin and Chris, they're at war. So we have war, but everybody else is such a sweetheart. You know what I mean? So, I guess that has surprised me a little bit.
We did put this earlier in the program, but we did say that Anthony Gojani learned a valuable lesson, which was maybe don't call every other competitor gay or a pussy.
Yeah, I saw on Instagram that he was accusing you of deep fakes.
Yep.
I mean, here's the thing he's got to understand about Raph. If Raph had the time to go make deep fakes about people, Gojani's way on the bottom of the list of guys we're going to make deep fakes about. Like, we're never getting to him. He's on the backlog, and we're never getting to his ticket. It's like 1,700 tickets down. Gojani, nobody's making fake news about you, my man. It's all real. Nothing you could do about it.
I think
I feel like Gojani is like anything he can do to increase the chip on his shoulder. Like anybody can just stack onto the chip, because he's even like going at Egg for saying that, well, he's kind of the Elijah Carlton of this season. And he's like, wait a minute, you said I look like Elijah Carlton. He's like, no, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you wish you looked like Elijah Carlton.
I think the funny part to me is I'm just amused. Like, there's none of this that we take personally. We just think it's funny. And having him go like, I can't believe, yeah, you guys, this deep fake. And I go, my brother, did you not know you were going to be on a team with people? Like, did that part not seep in that maybe 1 out of every 4 names you listed might be somebody you're gonna be on a team with? And so the shock and awe of like, what? I'm like, brother, read the rules. This is how this works. Nonetheless, highly entertaining to me.
He's gonna be a pleasure.
For sure.
He's gonna be great TV, dude. That's the thing, that I really like about Gojani is he's gonna be bold, and it's either gonna really pay off or really not pay off. But either way, it's gonna make great TV. You know what I mean?
Yes, I like that.
He's not going to be a dude that goes out there and plays it safe. He's making bold statements, and then he's going to go out there and let the chips fall where they may. But he's going to go push and either kill or get killed. And, dude, I respect that, to be honest with you.
B-Mac, I want to know, who do you think went criminally undervalued? Because there were a couple people who went pretty close to the minimums. But I'm looking at some of these draft orders, these draft picks, and a couple of them I was like, man, that's a bargain for that person.
Dude, I thought there were a bunch. Like, when we laid it all out, we're like, okay, it's going to average out to $3,000 per person. But almost no one went for $3,000. There was a lot of money spent at the top and not much money spent at the bottom, which was really surprising to me how it played out, because there is so much parity from top to bottom. One of the things that I've always tried to do is get like dogs at the top and dunkables at the bottom. And then if the dunkables come up with something great, and if not, but there's really not any dunkables on this roster. So it's like, and then there's not any like world class top ranked dudes. You know what I mean? It's like great guys at the top and great guys at the bottom, and it's very even. So I was super surprised to see some of the low numbers and some of the high numbers. Low numbers, like steals, I think about Zach Schneider was a steal. I think Matt Mash was a steal. Matt, both of those names, by the way, Zach Schneider, not Zach Snyder. Like, we got to start calling him Justice League or something. You know what I'm saying? And then Matt Mash. Can you have a better name for a jiu-jitsu athlete? Probably not. We got alliteration.
Probably not.
We got mashing. Both of those guys went for under what I expected to be the average. And so that surprised me. CJ Murdoch, I feel like, was an absolute steal. Landon Elmore, Dom Lobo, a lot of steals in this draft.
I'm going to add an addendum to the rules, even though it said it pretty clearly to me. But I think the rules need to say there needs to be 1,000 per player, because for whatever reason, people didn't put the two things together where it says every player must go for $1,000, right? And then there's a thing that says and the last player should get $1,000. I don't know why, but the jump of logic that happened when you saw certain people, they're like, oh, I have $1,000 left. And it's like, right, but you have 2 roster splits. So those rules mean you need $2,000. And
Yeah, I
somehow
don't know if
that
we
part
need,
didn't go.
I don't know if we need to clarify the rules or just like maybe choose different coaches.
I don't know, man.
You
I
know,
read it and I was like, I think this is a recipe for the people who win jujitsu. You know what? They'll give us great TV. Let's say that. Tim, did you have any last questions? Because I know you got to run out of here for BMAC before you get
yeah.
on out.
Yeah. Last thing, I would like to see the coaches have the ability to raise their own money to pay for players. Like, hey, PGF's going to give you 15 G's. You can use that. Everyone's got a base, but you could raise up to 100. So if you get some dudes who come in and say, we'll open up the banks for you, then hell yeah. Then these coaches will have a damn calculator and they'll actually track the money because it's money they're responsible for. When it's just like, I don't know, 1,000, how much do we have? 200? What? Oh, was it 700? And you got the mathematician guy. He's doodling on the notepad. He's got symbols drawn.
Dude,
He's playing tic-tac-toe. It's like, dude,
we're
why are
letting
you
the word
pretending?
mathematician do so much heavy lifting right there. That was not a mathematician. Let's do not get it twisted. That was not a mathematician. So season 5, if you'll recall, we did exactly what you're saying. We had we gave them a budget from the PGF to spend on their athletes at the draft, and then they could spend as much as they wanted over that with a 40% tax if they broke the salary cap.
Okay.
I would still love to do it that way. However, I'm not the only decision maker anymore.
Understood.
Yeah, I feel you.
Well, I'm going to let Tim get out of here.
I'm the most important vote, but I'm not
Commish,
the only.
If you got a couple minutes, I'll hang out with you. But
Yeah,
Tim
sure.
does need to get back. Tim, I
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you. Get on out of here, sir. I'll talk to you in a few, my man. Ladies and gentlemen,
Peace.
Tim Freeman, heads on out. But meanwhile, I'm going to switch this on over to our commish on this side and replace this asset. So I guess what I'm asking here, Brandon, is we have so many different people to now look at in this world, but I wanted to start getting to the point where we were chatting about the most controversial moment of the draft. And I wanted to get your take here because you had to course correct something here. And when you had to course correct it, it made me think, all right, Brandon actually has to do this in real time. And that's something that does suck, to have to fix something in real time because you may not have your exact thought on what it is you want to do. But for you, when you had to do the course correction in real time, you actually had to make a decision on who and what was going to happen for the people who were involved, meaning there was a trade with Juan Martinez, or not even a trade, but there was a steal that was trying to happen with Martin Martinez in terms of athletes offering up money that we didn't necessarily expect. You had one ruling one way, and then a ruling happened the other way. So for me, I would love to hear, now that you've had some time to think about it, where do you fall in this world now? Like, where do you fall with this? Do you still believe this is the right decision to do going forward? Because it might be the right decision for now, but do you feel this is a decision that you will see in the future that people won't be allowed to add extra money from the players?
So in the moment, I thought it was fine. I was like, well, it's his money. He can do what he wants to with it. And that was as much time as I had to think about it, right? Because it was happening in real time. And so they asked me what I thought. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's his money. He can do what he wants. I looked over at Zoe and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I just was like, okay, that's kind of how I feel. Thumbs up. And then I turned around and walked to the back of the room, and I got about 3 steps from the back of the room, and I just got this like sickness in my gut, and I was like, oh, there's 100,000 ways to game this. And so I stood back there for just a second, and 1,000 things were flying through my mind about what a terrible decision that was. And then Zoe walked back. He's like, ooh, I don't know if we should have done that. And then Drysdale walked back there and he's like, hey, you definitely shouldn't have done that. He wasn't like aggressive with me on any level. He was like, hey, we should have a conversation about this. And I had sort of already decided before Zoe and Drysdale even walked back there, like, oh, I need to go back up there and fix this. And then when they came back there and said, hey, we should rethink that, I was like, okay, yeah, that's easy. And it's easy for me, dude. I have no problem standing in front of the whole world and going, hey, my bad. I think I did something dumb. I think people expect that I'm dumb. And so if I ever do anything smart, I think it's shocking. So it's easy for me to just go, well, hey, I'm a redneck. Ha ha. I kind of did something dumb. And so it was easy for me to
there's a part of me that thought, okay, maybe in the act of fairness, it wasn't in the rules for this season. I do think it is something worth revisiting in the future, because in other sports that do have a professionalness to them, you are able to say, hey, LeBron James wants to give up this much money to bring somebody on.
Right, but that doesn't happen at the draft. That happens behind closed doors. Those are deals and negotiations the athletes and the teams make amongst themselves after the fact or before the fact, And if they want to game it ahead of time and have a little secret plan, there's nothing you can do to stop that. There wouldn't be a rule that we could make that would stop that, right?
See, but that usually is when like somebody looks like they're going to go to a team, and you've seen it happen in other sports. So I'm not against the rule by proxy at all. It's more, I think for this particular case, sure, I could see it wasn't necessarily written in the rules, but now it presented something that none of us foresaw, where we thought, right, who the hell's going to give up money in a season where you actually are getting money? So for these kids to then say, like, I give up my sword, I thought, wait, that's your money, kid. Like, I can't believe that. And then to see Jet
I'll
Thompson.
Tell you why I can believe it. I'll tell you why I can believe it. Because the two people that were involved that were willing to give up cash still live with their parents.
Fair.
They don't understand the value of those couple of $100 yet because they don't have to pay the bills.
Mama Natalie, I'm so sorry. I expected better of JJ. I just didn't expect that to happen. By the way, Mama Natalie has shown up last week and she was like, I'm just here to see what you say about my son. And I go, oh, yikes, not great. Nonetheless, I still feel like, I think for the moment you made the right decision, but can I just give you my little insight here? Is that Drysdale was making eye contact with me when this was happening, and as it was happening, all I could think of was, this is hilarious. Like, I'm just so into shenanigans that I said, okay, why not? And I go, I want to make it very clear, Mr. Drysdale, I have no power in any of this. But in the moment, because I'm helping facilitate things, and I'm like, I mean, it is what it is, death stare at me, and I thought, sir, this is misplaced. I have zero power here.
Well, I wouldn't say you have zero. You have my heart. That counts for something.
Sometimes, yeah, a very persuasive heart tug on the strings like that. But I can tell you, though, Brandon, it was such an awkward moment, but I can't wait to see that played back, even on the documentary or as we see things going. But I thought it played very well on TV. I went back, watched the draft again.
There'll be a behind the scenes. It's like covering the draft plus to be out at the end of this week. And schedule's going to drop this week too. Schedule is set. You're going to get to see the schedule this week publicly, everybody.
Has it aired privately to some people? Because
yes. The athletes and coaches have the schedule.
I'm wondering if you've seen any responses from the athletes on how they viewed that schedule.
Yeah. I'll just say week 2 looks like grudge week.
Oh, man. I can say I've had a peek at it, and I didn't go past day 2, and I had to stop because that's how good it was. I was literally looking at day 1 and go, oh, y'all were asking for some matches, and you'll see them very quickly. And then I thought,
Well,
all right, well, let's see
I'll
what
tell
day
you
two
this.
is. Mm,
I'll tell you this. And I learned this from Eddie Bravo and Vic with what they do with EBI and CJJ is the champion goes first. He's the first guy on the card. When the EBI opens up, if the reigning champ is on the card, he's at the very top of the broadcast. And so the number one pick, Jet Thompson, is at the top of the broadcast. The first match that you will see this season, Jet Thompson will be on the map.
and that's amazing because Jet has so many expectations right now. And I think he's
Yeah, dude, it's
handling
got to
it
be a
pretty
lot of
well.
pressure, right? It's got to be a lot of pressure. I wonder though if he's so young that he doesn't feel the pressure. I think that's a huge advantage. Like Jet, Landon, JJ, who else is in the young bucket?
Raphael.
Oh yeah, the youngest buck of all. I think these guys they don't have the stress and the beat down that of life that maybe a CJ Murdoch has. I don't think they're feeling the stress and the pressure at all.
You know, it's kind of wild because when I was looking back at some of the qualifiers, you know, there was a part of me that could make the argument CJ, depending on how his body and how he lives throughout that week, could have an upset or two in schedule there because he has been matched up with some of these guys and done quite well. And I think the
I
weird
think
part
it's
is,
kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to think that CJ's not going to be one of the top 8. I think
yeah,
that's kind of mad.
I feel like that's the part when you get these auction drafts and you see a lot of stuff coming up and you kind of wonder how much the new shiny thing grabs your attention. It made me kind of say like, hey, I think they've done the research on these guys, but some of these deep cuts I looked at and I go, their resumes are pretty good. Or you almost want to say, go back and look at some of their matches. Now, I'm not saying this to anybody else. Tim's gone, so I could speak freely because we have a draft coming up. But it's been hard for me not to talk about it on air until we do the draft because I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't want to give him free information. I'm not egg. I just want to make sure that as we do this, just trying to signpost to people as they can go sign up for the fantasy themselves. Like these are small nuggets and there is hidden truths in those matches and in their resumes. And I'll tell you this, BMAC, in doing my research, some of these boys have private profiles on their smooth comp. And I don't know that they were private before the PGF. Just saying.
I didn't know that.
A couple, and you know what? I don't know if they were private beforehand. I'm not a fake news organization here. I just know that when I went to go look up, like, oh, how did that person do against this person? It was on one person's profile, but not the other person's. So it makes you think how much of the mind games are going on, all that sort of stuff. I do see a fan favorite here, Christos Papadopoulos. Now, Christos just released a video where he is telling you guys about the gospel. He is spreading the gospel of the PGF, and aggressively so. Like, Brandon, for you, how does that feel to have somebody like him and many other people that are just true believers that they would spend 13 minutes telling you in a video why they love this format and this cause?
Dude, honestly, it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm on the right track. I know I don't have the clout of a Craig Jones or an ADCC or a UFC BJJ yet. I know I'm just some goofy little redneck stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. But man, I've given everything to this to try. Like literally, I've sacrificed everything to try to make this as good as I can make it. And I really think that we've got the best format. I really think that. And so when I see people that have actually come and been a part of it and have experienced it and have even taken the format of the PGF and applied it to his own promotion, and he's experienced the same, it makes me feel like it's all going to be worth it eventually, you know?
Let me point this out. Before I get to the prompt that he put up after this, if you go look at the Enigma website, I think it's very well done. I think that Christos does an excellent job. Like, it looks clean. It looks cleaner than a lot of other professional organizations. So when I respond to this prompt here,
it's a better app than Flow Grappling or the UFC BJJ app or the UFC Fight Pass app. No, it is. It is, and I don't have any problem saying that.
So when I see this prompt here that says, "Why are you a hater, man?" It makes me wonder. I don't think it's in reference to the 13-minute description of his video. I felt like that was neutral or positive at best. I think it might be the fact that I called Christos's pipe bomb at the draft a B-. There. It felt like a guy who has competed in speech. I sat there, and I think he broke rule number 1 on it. He had an applause break and then said, "No, I have more to say." And I was like, "Oh, no, young man. Yes, my needs are to make this go fast, but you had an applause break. Get out on the applause, young man. That's a B-. That's all. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying showmanship a little bit there. But otherwise, I like you a lot, Christos.
It was a great speech. I do have to, from a producer, content creator standpoint, I do have to take your side on it, though, in that regard. But as far as like on a personal level, I loved the speech.
I know. Yeah, the content you were in love with. But again, it's just fun. Oh, I saw a thumbs down. How dare you, sir? I know that is 100%.
I know who that was.
That's not even in question who that is. You can't even give criticism to this young man. I'm just telling you, a fan, I look forward to your work, but I'm not wrong. And in the way that you guys do this as competition, I used to compete in speech and debate week in and week out. I know a good speech when I see one. And I've won some shiny metal things myself in that regard. So I would tell you, sir, I do feel pretty confident about my ability to assess that. Having said that, I think your potential has high yields. I think that you could be there. And I think by the end of the season, we'll see how things go. And I see this.
He'll be ready to rock for week 1, no question.
It says, "Yo, Christos, hire me or one of my camera guys to have a matte floating camera on your shows." I like that we're doing this as a potential for a job hiring here. And it says, listen, I feel the great thing about this. Nick Saff, he did make a correction here, but he said, Gojani is one of those that made his profile. He says public, but he meant private. And, listen, I'm not a fake news organization. I can't tell you yes or no, but I can tell you maybe go look and you can find out for yourself. And listen, that might be fodder for the people he's in the group chat with. I don't know. Listen, I'm not an athlete. I just look at things. I'm doing my research, and I'm very excited for this season. So I would ask this, BMAC, as we start to float toward the end, for you, what advice do you have for these guys? Because now they're starting to move. Now we're, 2 weeks away, essentially, from opening day. So for me, there's a lot of excitement here, but I'm sure for you, there's also a lot of potential and a lot of things that you can be doing. So what's the advice that you have for these guys as they get ready for that home stretch?
I would tell you that this is the biggest opportunity that you've had in your jiu-jitsu career so far. And what happens to you in the future your future can totally change based on how you play the game. I don't just mean how you grapple. I don't just mean your victories and your losses and your draws, but how you play the game as a professional could change your life forever if you do this right.
Well said, sir. And you know what? I think it's incredibly wild that we went, one of the segments I had in mind was when I heard some people were going to do both, we were going to track where everybody is and say like, hey, these people structurally are here and these people are structurally here. And then all of a sudden they all started congregating, or I saw more and more people where I started doing the math and I was like, offhand, I think I can name 15 people who are going to be in Vegas. And I thought 15 out of the 20 being in Vegas is significant that they see the vision too and that they understand the seriousness of it. So it made me think like, man, they do understand the opportunity in front of them. And that is so heartwarming to me because now it means, holy shit. Now we're right in the moment where this could be an incredibly big thing. And I do see this, and it says, I have 15 chances to hit a sub in front of thousands of people, then talk to them and show them who I am. What's not to love? I mean, Christos, full disclosure, if I can get you on my fantasy team, I'm trying to make it happen. I think you're going to have a pretty good season. I'm feeling good about your odds here, sir. And importantly, on that side, I think that you will have the opportunity to show a unique place on why Enigma is such a sought after thing. Like, you're getting a lot of people who are you're probably going to break them, and then they're immediately going to be like, hey man, can I get on Enigma? Like, I feel like that's a cool place to be. So we're very much looking forward to you. And actually, the more I think about it, BMAC, Landon and Christos being on the same team
worked out perfect.
I mean, that's a pretty cool gig for people who already have a shorthand with one another, and they don't have to compete against each other until they make the playoffs. If they both make the playoffs, which, just saying, lots of upside on that. And I see a note here. It says lots of commitment from those players, uprooting their lives for 5+ weeks. Absolutely. And it says,
and dude, honestly, it just means, go ahead.
Oh, no, this is Kai who was putting in a note about the castle having a dungeon. I think this is in regards to our good friend Isaac saying he's going to be a hobo under a bridge, but we can come back to that.
Yeah, well, a lot of us are going to be hobos under bridges. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that's part of the thing that makes the PGF special. Like, this is not something that's built by a bunch of investor money and a bunch of sponsors pouring in and a bunch of funds, like VC funds, trying to build this thing like Karate Combat or the UFC or, God bless my boy over there, CJI, like ADCC. All of these things, these are all built by people who had money and decided it was a good idea. That's not what's going on over here, dude. The PGF is built by the people that love the sport more than anything in the whole world. And it's built by the homies. It was built in Decatur, Alabama. It was built with the blood and the sweat equity of me, Keelan, Egghead, Rafa Sparza, Tim, Isaac, like a countless list. There's nobody on the list that hasn't poured their heart and soul and made sacrifices, like real sacrifices, to try to pull this off because we believe in it. And that's what I think the PGF really is at the end of the day. It's me and it's my friends that love jiu-jitsu trying to do what we think is the best for jiu-jitsu. And I think when all this is said and done, that's going to be the legacy that's left. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm doing all of this for something that I'll never see the fruit of. But I know from the bottom of my heart, jiu-jitsu is going to be in a better place when I'm all done with this thing.
Facts, sir. Facts. See, Christos, that's like an A speech. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a little difference in it. He had the applause break. There would have been the great movie feel. I guess what I'm saying, Christos, is this. Fucking give the upvote. Take the downvote and go to the upvote. I know it's you. So I don't need to be like, who is that? And thank you very kindly for that. That's a very nice thing to say. But you did make a prediction here, and I want to make sure I put it on here because I don't know that you're wrong. But I want to make sure we mark it. It says, me and Landon will both finish top 4 in playoff run 100%. Mark my words.
I love it.
Listen,
I
kid,
love it.
I love it too. And I want to see it happen. And Christos, we're definitely going to be excited. So when Brandon talks about this passion of putting this all together, yeah, it's all fun. We want to make it happen. We want to do this. We want to put it in so that when we get there, we give this opportunity to these kids to go out there and kill it. So that's why we're excited. When we see you guys, I see an upvote, but I don't know if that came from him. It says, I didn't
You did.
downvote
You did.
anything. I don't know what that is. Okay. I just had to make sure. Then some other asshole gave us a downvote, and they had no reason to do that, unless it was Go Johnny, and maybe he's got a case. I guess what I'm saying here
Hey,
is
Go Johnny's a down voter, dude.
I guess what I'm saying is we're excited AF. And Brandon, I thank you for your time. I'm gonna close this up real quick. Christos, great work, sir, and keep up the good work. And you know what? I'm gonna go on your video and I'm gonna leave a comment. You said you would go and be nice. You were giving us comments here. I'll go on yours. I'll listen to half of it, and then I'll do the upvote and comment. But Brandon, I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks, sir. We will let you know how everything goes here on the draft. But in the meantime, you continue being the sweetheart that you are of jiu-jitsu. We cannot wait to see you, brother.
Can I say one more thing before I
Yes,
go?
sir. Absolutely.
Let me just take this opportunity while I have your beautiful audience here with me to say that I am genuinely, truly, from the bottom of my heart, so thankful to you and to Tim, Wallow, Egghead, Isaac, everybody that's poured so much into this, and to the people that support it and watch it. When I say that it means everything to me, it really does mean everything to me. We've given so much of ourselves to try to put this together, and so every little and every little comment, like those mean a lot to me. And I know it's crazy, but those things keep me going, you know? And so when you guys give your support and you give your love back to it, and when you take the time to just stop in and say thank you or we like this, I take that all the way down into my soul. And so just thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the old commish out to the lovers and the supporters of the PGF.
Thank you, boss. We love you here. And man, what a beautiful thing you have built. So credit to you and the extended family of the people who put this together. This is wonderful, sir.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. My thanks to the commish. My thanks to you all for hanging out with us a little bit here today. Listen, guys, if you like what you see here, wherever you're watching this, whether it's on the PGF channel, Inside BJJ, the Grappling Hour, we would love it if you like, comment, subscribe. If you subscribe to us, you get to see all of these great things. And if you're subscribed to the Grappling Hour specifically, you will see the Get to Know series. We have done interviews with 12 different athletes, and you will be the first to see those. We appreciate you guys, all the athletes. You want to learn more about them before you see them go into battle. You want to know why they're doing this. You want to get to know them on a personal level. That's what we did here. You're also going to see some content coming up, some short form stuff, them answering some questions, hopefully not offending their teammates. Can't promise that. But we have a lot of stuff coming up here and a lot of great surprises. So I guess what I'm telling you guys is if you love the show, like, comment, subscribe wherever you can. But I would really, hold on. Tim and Brandon are gone. Hey, if you could do it for Grappling Hour, that actually matters the most. Because your boy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still here. Everybody else left. Kevin didn't even show up. So, like, me, Grappling Hour. Just saying, we love everybody. But, like, love me more. In any event, thank you guys. We appreciate you. We will be back, I believe, this Friday with another installment of Bullpen. And that's where we're going to talk about everything. So we will be talking about all the later news in all things jiu-jitsu. So be here back for that Friday afternoon. And in the meantime, you'll see some other stuff going up. And if you want to support me further, patreon.com/grappling hour. See my interviews 30 days before anybody else for just $5 a month. And for a few extra dollars, you can support the show, which supports your boy, which buys all this nice equipment and all these fancy lights and et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour and at the Bullpen. My thanks to you all for watching. We cannot wait to see you guys back very soon. And, I see an all hail the commish. That's adorable. And it says the mouth of the PVF, Bobby Bopham. Yeah, of course, we love Bobby. Bobby's a necessary part of the show. All right, you guys. I got to go get my car worked on. Love you guys. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.